Welcome to the C.L.I.M.B. This is a show dedicated to helping singers, songwriters, and indie artists like you create leverage in the music business. That's what you're going to need. It's going to take more than your talent, and this podcast exists because we want you to win. So you're going to need to come to the table to negotiate with some actual business, an audience, cash flow, an image. You're going to have to get all put together. That's why we called it the C.L.I.M.B. It's an acronym, C.L.I.M.B, creating leverage in the music business. The genius behind that title is the word man himself. Let me introduce you to my co-host and good friend, Mr. Brent Baxter. Brent's an award-winning hit songwriter with cuts by Alan Jackson, Randy Travis, Lady Annabelle, and Joe Nichols, and more. What I love about Brent is he helps songwriters like you turn pro. You want to turn pro. He helps you turn pro by revealing how you write like a pro, do business like a pro, and then he actually connects you with the pros. And you can find Brent really easily at songwritingpro.com. Once again, that's songwritingpro.com.
And I would like to introduce you to my co-host, Johnny Dwinell. Johnny owns Daredevil Production. They help you find your sound and they help you grow your audience so you can become the artist that everybody loves and so you can get paid. Which ain't too shabby either. Daredevil has worked with multi-platinum artists like Colin Ray, Tracy Lawrence, Ty Herndon, and Andy Griggs, just to name a few. You can find Johnny at daredevilproduction.com. That's production, singular, no S, and there is no S because there is no other Johnny D. Hey, man.
Hey, brother. How are you?
Man, I'm doing all right. I'm psyched for a couple things. I'm psyched for what we're going to talk about today, which we'll get to in a second. I'm also psyched for the C.L.I.M.B conference, which is coming up.
First ever C.L.I.M.B conference.
That's right.
It's not just you and me, though.
No, it's not. So this is coming up the weekend of May 5th, weekend of Cinco de Mayo, and how better to celebrate Cinco de Mayo than going to Utah. And that's what we're going to do. And we're going to go, we're going to be in Salt Lake City, Utah, so the weekend of May 5th. And Johnny and I will be joined by Chris Oglesby from BMG Music. So he's a music publisher there. He's an industry veteran. So you want to know about songwriting, you want to know about publishing, he is your guy. And also we'll be joined by Shelby Kennedy, who runs the national office of TuneCore, which they help basically distribute your music to different platforms. So if you're an artist and you're interested about the new music business and how getting your music out there and all that stuff works, Shelby's going to be awesome. And then you got me and Johnny dragging down the average. So
that's right.
That's right.
We're cutting into the curve.
I know. There we go.
But hey, so they can go and get more information at
C.L.I.M.B conference, climbconference.wordpress.com.
climbconference.wordpress.com.
That's right. That's right.
Awesome. Hey, and listen, if you haven't joined the C.L.I.M.B community yet on Facebook, make sure you do that. Just go to Facebook, search for the C.L.I.M.B community, ask to be let in. We let everybody in. Don't be a jerk or we'll roadhouse you. Mm-hmm. If you like what we're talking about here on these shows, if you find some of this stuff interesting and helpful, then share it. Some of your peers, some of your contemporaries could benefit from it as well. And leave a rating and review. It's going to help us. Listen, it makes us look legit to people who are just sticking their toe in the water. So make sure that happens.
Yeah. And speaking of reviews,
hey, we got another 5-star review. Yay! And this one is, I love 5-star reviews. This one is from Sarah Donkin 13. It is a 5-star review, and the title is Super Helpful Podcast. I've been listening to this podcast a lot over the past few weeks, and it's been nothing but helpful, encouraging, and easy to listen to. Very informative, but also entertaining and interesting. Thanks for sharing your knowledge on the music industry. I can't wait to hear more.
Awesome.
Thank
well, you're going to hear
Sarah
more.
Donkin.
You're going to hear your own name on the podcast. So thank you, Sarah Donkin. We appreciate that. It's a tasty 5-star review. Thank you. So
Isn't it?
It is.
Hey, man, I got to mention something too. Like we just completed, like yesterday was the end of CRS week. So for those of you in the country world that listen to this podcast, CRS stands for Country Radio Seminar. Mm-hmm. And that's 3 days out of the year, right around the first week in February, where all the program directors from all the radio stations across the whole country converge on the Omni Hotel in glorious downtown Nashville to do business. And they're all in one place. So as you can imagine, because the program directors are the gatekeepers, they're going to be the ones that decide whether you get on a playlist or don't get on a playlist in a certain market. Every single artist is in town, from indie artists in the secondary radio markets all the way up to Garth Brooks and Keith Urban and Tim McGraw. You know, they're out there kissing hands and shaking babies and making those relationships happen. And this year, for the second year in a row, we did, I've been working very closely with Randy from Bar Frog, who we interviewed on our podcast, Brent. And man, we doubled, last year we did it for the first time. It was the Bar Frog showcase, where we have the Bar Frog artists, and I got some Daredevil artists on there last year, put them in a position with a live band in a really cool venue to showcase directly for the program directors. Cool. And we had about 75 there last year. And not for nothing, that's a big part of the reason why Bailey James got to 36 on her first single as a 14-year-old girl. Right? Because those program directors were able to see her live, were impressed about her, asking questions about her. So when she came out on radio tour and met them face to face for the second time, it was like, oh yeah, we're going to try to get this on here. We're going to try to work you into the playlist. And that's exactly what happened. So it's a super powerful thing. This year we changed the venue into this like really cool place called the Studio in it's in Nashville. It's just out on Charlotte, but it's an old church. Old wooden church that's been, I believe it's a church. It might be an old wooden theater, but it looks like it's a church with a bunch of pews and stuff like that. That has been transformed into this analog recording facility with a big open wooden floor, and it's just super, super cool. We had probably about 150 program directors there, and some killer artists. I mean, Rick Monroe played, Bailey played again, Mark Bray was on there, Tony Jackson was on there, who's doing that. Smith and Wesley, the dudes from Confederate Railroad, were on there. Like, we had some killer artists, and I Facebook Live the whole thing. So if you haven't seen it and you want to see what that looks like or sounds like, just go and check out. Just go to C.L.I.M.B Community. It should be shared on there. It's definitely on Daredevil. If it's not on C.L.I.M B Community, I'll share it on C.L.I.M B Community. But it was man, super cool. What a great night. We had a beer sponsor there. That was fantastic. Steel Barrel Beer. And we were sponsored by the pizza company. And I'm forgetting the name right now because I'm a jerk. I didn't set that up. I'm such a loser. But it was awesome pizza. Anyway, like, it was, what a great night. Like, it was just a super fun time. And I just want to thank everybody that, publicly, that all the artists that performed on there, the sponsors, the venue, Randy Barber, because he really set the whole thing up, the Frog Father, and Lexi from Daredevil. We were going crazy for the last 2 weeks, just getting set up for this, and then finally the day of the event. And not for nothing, I'm a little jealous because I sent you a picture, Brent, but evidently Bo Duke came to my freaking party, and everybody talked to him and got a picture with him, but me, I didn't even know he was there until the next day. Because, as you can imagine, I'm running around like crazy, just being the hostess with the mostest, and talking to everybody and blah blah blah. But
everybody but one.
John Schneider, dude, Bo Duke. I mean, I don't go fanboying a lot of people, but I was like 8 years old when that show came out. That was like the bomb, Lexi got a picture with him and I didn't. Mark Bray got a picture with him and I didn't, and I'm jealous. Anyway,
I would be too.
Enough of that. So what are we going to talk about today?
All right. What we're going to talk about today is we're going to do a hit song study. So I just took a look at just the current country singles chart and pulled a couple songs off there. I thought it had some pretty cool stuff going on there and some stuff we can learn from as songwriters. So that's basically what I'm going to do. We're going to launch into it and kind of try to knock out 3 songs and dive into them a little bit. And like I said, pull out some nuggets so you can write better songs yourself and go, okay, that's something I can learn from. That's something I can implement on my songwriting that hopefully will help me get some of these same results that they're getting being on the radio.
I love it. Okay.
All right, here we go. The first one we're going to talk about, a song called Written in the Sand. The artist is Old Dominion, and it's climbing the charts. I'm not sure exactly where to be when this drops, but it's doing well, and they're doing really well as artists. So a couple of things I want to point out in this song. So if you haven't heard this song, pause, go listen to it, come back, it'll give you a whole new appreciation for it. The couple of things I want to point out. One is imagery, what I call willpower. What's it look like power that we're going to talk about. And the other thing is this song is really a new window into an old room, which is a phrase I've come across kind of recently when describing songwriting. I've heard it. I think it's a good description of it. But basically, in songwriting, so many times we're talking about stuff that's been talked about time and time and time again, because the human condition is what it is, and emotional stuff is what it is. And so this song is basically the guy talking to the girl going, hey, are we just a temporary fling, or is this a forever kind of thing? Basically is what the takeaway, the nugget of the heart of the song is. So that's an old room, because that's been written about plenty of times. So it's nothing groundbreaking or earth-shattering there. The guy just wanted to know where are we? What are we? But they show us that old room through a new window. So we get like a different angle on it. We see it from a different point of view. And a lot of what they do on that is with the details that they use and really how they set it up in the chorus. I'll talk a little bit about the chorus first. Basically, it says, are we just a backseat trying to get it while we can? Are we names on a tattoo or just a number on a hand? Are we last call kissing, or will we be reminiscing with each other for the next 40 years? Are we written in the stars, baby, or are we written in the sand? So the way they set up some of this stuff, first of all, you get the image of the backseat. So to let you know, that's more of a young kind of fling thing. They're not at somebody's house, right? And then they start setting up these parallels. Are we this or that? Temporary versus permanent. Are we names on in a tattoo? Permanent. Or a number on a hand, which is great because it's still something written on your body, but it washes off. And you think about number on a hand like you saw him out there somewhere at a bar. She wrote your number on your hand versus her name on a tattoo. So it's just that temporary versus permanent, but still these images make sense and work together. And it's a great way of saying that, of saying, are we temporary or are we permanent? Are we last call kissing, which is like, okay, it's about time to go, make out now. Or we're going to be reminiscing with each other for the next 40 years. And later on it says, or are we going to be dancing in the kitchen? Is this temporary or is it more permanent? And then are we written in the stars? Stars are, you think of the timeless, forever kind of thing. Or are we written in the sand, which is the waves come up and they wash it out. So again, that's a great example of, first of all, you see the stars in the sand. So it puts me on the beach. When I hear this song, when I hear that line, it puts me on the beach looking down at the sand and looking up at the stars. And you think, yeah, one is really stable, really permanent. And the other is the waves are just going to wash it out. So that's a couple of things I think are great about this. It's kind of that new window, the way they set it up using these images, the way of saying, are we? And it's the willpower. What's it look like? Which means, what does temporary look like versus permanent? And so they use this with imagery. So tattoo, number on a hand. Last call kissing, or dancing in the kitchen. Written in the stars, written in the sand. So it's a great way of saying, what's that look like being temporary versus being permanent? And they do a great job with these images, working on that. So moving back up to the first verse. And I think Johnny may have dropped out a little bit. I know he's still having some issues with his sound. So hi, Johnny. So I'll just keep on rolling here. So the next thing is in the first verse, they have some great, really one line I want to pick out here. So it's talking about, we're kind of on again, off again. I'm not really sure where we are. There's a line that says, I see those bubbles pop up like you're texting, then they disappear, which I think is just a brilliant line because, it's fresh, it's current, and it's real. And I think it shows us the power of small details because I've never heard that in a song before. And, I've never heard it in a song before, but it's real. I've seen it on my phone when, those bubbles pop up and you're like, okay, somebody's texting. And then they go away and you're like, what happened? Right? So it's real, it's believable, but to me, it's fresh and it's also current. It lets you know you're hearing a new song. You're not hearing a song from 1980 or 1990. So it has that current kind of power to it, which I think is really, really cool. So let's see, Johnny's texting me. He has a spinning wheel of death, but we're just going to keep on rolling and see what happens. All right. Yeah. So next verse I want to talk about is another example of showing and not telling. What's it look like? It says, your makeup is next to my toothbrush, but you never put it away on the shelf, which shows me It doesn't tell me, but it shows me that she's over there a lot, but she's not settling in. She's not moving in. She's bringing her makeup maybe to fix her, face in the morning or whatever, but she's not leaving it there. She takes it with her when she goes. And so that to him, that's another thing of going, hey, okay, I would love to see you put your makeup on the shelf, put it in a drawer. Let me know you'll be back, kind of thing. And he's not getting that from this. So I think that's important what they're doing here. Also, and then so we got verse, chorus, and then we go back into another chorus. And so this is that third chorus I want to talk about for a second. So the first chorus, it said, are we last call kissing, or are we names in a tattoo, or just a number on a hand? On this one, it says, are we names in a tattoo, or just a number I should wash right off my hand? And so it has a little bit more punch to it, because he's like, by this point, he's like, hey, should I just wash this off and be done with this because it's not going anywhere? Which he wasn't saying that at first, but this is that last chorus. And it gives you a little bit of a moment, like, oh, I didn't see that coming. But that's saying, should I just, if you're not in it, should I just literally wash my hands of this and be done? And it shows a little bit of an emotional journey where he is, he starts off going, hey, what are we doing here? I want to be in this thing. But by the end of it, he's like, but if it's not, I should just leave and we'll be done with it. So I think some really cool stuff in here as far as showing and not telling what willpower is. What's it look like to be permanent versus temporary? Tattoo, number on a hand, last call kissing, dancing in the kitchen, stars and sand. Also, melodically, it's not too sad. It's groovy. It's not mopey, which I think is really cool. So it feels kind of current. It doesn't feel too sad melodically or too whiny, which I think is important for this, because he's talking like, hey, you just let me know what's up. He's not singing like, oh, if you don't let me know what we're doing, I'm just going to die. It doesn't feel that way. All right, so the guy is still kind of cool. He's like, hey, I watched him. Should I just go? It's kind of almost like it's a little cool either way, but I want you to want me. But if not, all right, just let me know. It's not too mopey, which I think lets him be more likable, less desperate. He has a little bit more authority, a little more licensed. He has some power here. He's not a total wuss, which I think is a good thing too. So that's the first song. That's Written in the Sand, and we'll move on to the next one. All right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Next song we're going to talk about is "Marry Me" by Thomas Rhett. So written by Jesse Frazier, Ashley Gorley, Thomas Rhett, and Shane McAnally. And so this one, I think, is a good way of showing, of telling, and also of kind of modern songwriting versus maybe like 90s songwriting a little bit. So basically, if you haven't heard Marry Me yet, you need to stop it. You need to listen to it, for one thing, just because it's a really good song. And it's one that it's interesting because it's a little bit more, it feels like a more mature song for Thomas Rhett, because it's talking about marriage and being in that place where you want to get married or that kind of thing. So I think it's cool. It starts off talking about, hey, she wants to get married. She wants it perfect, wants her granddaddy preaching the service. Yeah, she wants magnolias out in the country, not too many people, save her daddy some money. And I think that's cool because it's different, because it shows that she's a down-to-earth girl. Like the more cliche thing is, she wants a big church wedding with thousands of people there and all the flowers and the candles and all this stuff, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's cool. It makes it a little more believable that it's a little more unique. Makes it maybe a little bit more country, but also allows for some fresh wedding imagery instead of the cliche stuff. Because you're talking about magnolias out in the country and her granddaddy preaching the service, and her being, and not too many people there and saving her daddy some money. I mean, that's cool. That's fresh. That's different. And it's believable too. I mean, for one thing, my wife and I got married on a beach, and it was a small wedding. And we're like, we're going to spend some money. We're going to spend it on, sand and being at the beach for a week. But it was also the same kind of thing. And so a different imagery, which I think is cool. And also it shows that Thomas Rhett knows her well. He knows what she wants, right? So this is not a stranger. So setting up, she wants to get married, and I know what she wants. And then it talks about, she got all planned out. I can see her right now. And this chorus is awesome. It says, I'll wear my black suit, black tie, hide out in the back. I'll do a strong shot of whiskey straight out the flask. I'll try to make it through without crying so nobody sees. Yeah, she wants to get married, but she don't want to marry me. Which is just like, oh, gut punch, right? So this is that great twist, country twist on it. And there are a couple of things I want to pull out here, okay? Because this is some really strong songwriting. Okay, for one thing, the chorus has a great double meaning, and we'll see when we come back around to it how it's gonna be all fresh next time we come around to it. But also the twist. I mean, we probably have all written some kind of like, I got this big twist song, right? It's like the Sixth Sense of songwriting. But you notice he let the cat out of the bag. He gave you the twist right at the end of the first chorus. Whereas I think some older school songwriting might have been to wait till like the bridge. Like I'm going to first verse talk about, like it is now. She wants to get married, and this is the kind of wedding she wants. Yes, she wants to get married. Yes, she wants to get married. And the next verse be like, I remember the night I fell in love with her. We were just da-da-da, and we were just friends. But, man, I just knew I wanted to be with her forever. And now, she wants to get married, blah, blah, blah. Chorus, and then bridge, like, yeah, but she's up there next to him, giving her heart to him, putting the ring on his finger, and I can't believe it. She wants to get married. Yeah. Okay, fine. But, man, attention spans have changed.
So they saved the reveal for the end.
They could have saved the reveal for the end, like in the bridge, right? And be like, oh, what? Oh, I've been wrong this whole time. They don't do that. They let it out at the end of the first chorus. And I think that's important because that's more of a current way of writing. They don't hold it because attention spans are getting shorter and shorter. All right? I mean, Twitter may let you have more characters in there now, but attention spans are not getting any longer. All right? It's still like, we're not going to hold it. We're going to let this out right at the end of the first chorus. And that's how I've been doing more of my writing. If I have some sort of kind of twist kind of thing, man, okay, let's get it out early and then figure out what to do with it. And which may make your writing a little bit harder, but also for one thing, you're not killing time trying to hold the mystery or the joke for two verses. You're not trying to keep misdirecting the listener for too long. He's like, boom. And now I'm in. If I listen to that first verse, I'll be like, all right, she wants to get married. It's a love song, blah, blah, blah. Whoa. Now I'm in. I want to know what happens next because she wants to get married, but she don't want to marry me. So it will keep your attention better because it gives you a major hit right there in that first chorus. And now I want to know what happens. Because I thought I knew what was happening. Now I don't. Now I want to know. So, I'm right in here for the second verse. And then it was interesting in this next verse, it talks about, I remember the night I almost kissed her. And I kind of freaked out. We've been friends forever. I always wondered if she felt the same way. When I got the invite, I knew it was too late. Yeah, I know her daddy's been dreading this day. Oh, but he ain't the only one giving her away, which is a great line. And so it's interesting they made it a breakup, or not a breakup. It was a never was.
He ain't the only one giving her away.
He ain't the only one giving her away. It's a great line. But they didn't make the song a breakup like we broke up and now she's getting married with someone else. It's interesting. They made it a never was kind of thing, which is in a way sweeter. There's no bad guys. He was just the guy that, how many of us have been there? Dude, I've been there at somebody's wedding where it's like, oh man, it never happened, but I always wanted it to. Been there. So I can relate to this stuff like just on a personal level. And I felt really stupid being at that wedding, by the way, but that's a story for another day. But, and then you hit that chorus, you hit that second chorus. I'll tell you sometime. We hit that second chorus and it's brand new. It's like watching The Sixth Sense for the second time. You're like, oh my gosh, I see it all differently now. So then we hit that chorus and it's, I'll wear a black suit, black tie. You're like, it makes sense. Yeah. Hide out in the back. Yeah. Cause this is emotionally overwhelming. It's not he's hiding in the back because he's the groom and he's waiting to go out in front. It's because he feels out of place here. Maybe I shouldn't be there. Am I up to something? I don't know. I'll do a strong shot of whiskey straight out the flask. Well, yeah, not for courage now, but for courage and to kind of deaden some feelings. And I'll try to make it through without crying. Not because I want to be at the front. Right. I just want to be a tough guy. It's because, man, I was breaking my heart in a bad way, not in a good way. And so each one of those lines, you see it in a brand new way. And that is just strong songwriting. Awesome. Love this song.
Yes, exact same lines, different. Now it's framed differently.
You completely different context. You're like, whoa, that completely flipped on me. So you're hearing the chorus. It's familiar, right? Because you've already heard exactly this chorus before, but it's brand new. It's like the best of both worlds. You get comfort. Oh, I've already heard this. I'm already getting to know it. But at the same time, it's brand new. Awesome. So, and also one little thing I would pull out of this, I'll do a straight shot of whiskey straight out the flask. That's what he says, straight out the flask. Now, my, country sensibilities, I want to say straight out of the flask. And so it's a little bit more of a current lingo, a little different way of saying it that people get it, but it's not your daddy's country way of saying it. It's straight out the flask. I don't know what that influence is, but you know what I mean? It's like, it's a little, I don't know if it's a little more urban, it's a little something, it's a little different way of saying it, which also makes it feel current. Like
a little hipper.
A little hipper. It wouldn't be said that way in a 90s country song, right?
Yeah.
They wouldn't have said straight out the flask. They would have said straight from the flask or something to keep the syllables the same. Straight from the flask, but not straight out the flask, like straight out of Compton, right? So, all right. So then we get to the bridge. She's got her dress on now, welcoming a guest now, which is a nice little rhyme. Dress now, guest now. I could try to find her, get it off my chest now. Again, been there, but I ain't going to mess it up. So I wish her the best now. So you got like 4 rhymes, which is cool. So that changes up the structure a little bit because now you got these dress now, guest now, chest now, best now. And even mess it up. You got the mess, the dress, guest, mess, best, chest stuff going on there. So it's a lot of little rhymey stuff, a lot of little hooks in here. But it all makes sense. And, and it frames Thomas Rhett as a good guy, and he's doing right by her. Because he could get it off his chest, but what's he going to do, blow up her wedding? That would be very selfish. And this guy's not doing that because he's a good guy and he cares about her. He's not going to mess it up. And so it gives you even more empathy for this character. You're like, man, he's a good guy. He's not here to blow up the wedding. So anyway, then you go back into I'll just wish her the best, and I'm going to go hide out in the back and drink that shot of whiskey. So that's what I had to say about that one. But I think it's really well written. It's worth studying.
That's killer, man.
All right, we got time for one more. Round Here Buzz, Eric Church. This one I think is cool because of how much double and triple duty some of these lines pull off. Okay, they do a great job of painting the small town. So Round Here Buzz, Eric Church, written by him, Jeff Hyde, and Luke Dick. All right, so it starts off another Friday night. There's a line of cars leaving. Home team's got an out of towner. Me, I'm sitting on the hood of mine drinking. I'm just a parking lot down and outer. So you got some out of towner, down and outer, cool rhymes. And you got a line of cars, but I'm on the hood of mine drinking. And so it shows the smaller town who's football proud. Other people are leaving just temporarily. They're just going to the away game. But it helps set up that he's staying. I'm not even going to the away game. I'm sitting here in a parking lot drinking. And I think this pulls a lot of this verse here does a lot of stuff. It sets the setting, because you think of Friday night, line of cars leaving, you think smaller town. It sets that up. It's got some great imagery in there. And it's also setting up the theme of the song, Round Here Buzz. So I'm just a parking lot down and outer. I'm not going out of town. I'm sitting here drinking, which points right to I'm staying round here and I'm catching a buzz. So there's like 4 things that this chorus does, or this verse does. Set the setting, hit you with some good imagery, set up the small town, and set up the theme of Round Here Buzz. Powerful, right? There's a lot going on in those verses. They are not wasting any time. There's no fluff on this. Next part, we have, under that high school bleacher, I drove that preacher's daughter crazy. Her mama was my homeroom teacher, and her dad was hell-bent on saving me. So, shows that he grew up here. It's more small-town stuff, bleachers, preachers, and teachers, which is also some nice internal rhymes. But shows like, hey, man, my roots are here, and so are yours. And again, the small town, because if, just all this, her dad was hell-bent on her dad was a preacher, her mom was my teacher. So you can just like, okay, that's small-town stuff. And then we hit the lift. I'm sure there's higher highs where the high risers rise, but me, I'm going to sit right here tonight. So again, it's the drinking theme, small town versus city. higher highs, versus the round here buzz. I could feel better somewhere, where the high risers rise, which is just cool. It's just cool, interesting language. It's not the way you hear it said, which is hugely important to say it in a fresh way. But also sets up the small town city and the drinking thing. And then you hit that chorus, I'm going to catch a round here buzz. It's lit up like that one stoplight across from that welcome sign. Ever since you caught that out there bug, I catch me around here buzz. So I love the double duty. Again, there's no fluff on this, no fat on this. It's all muscle. So lit up like that one stoplight. So it plays off the buzz, like getting drunk. I'm lit up like that one stoplight, small town. So it does that one line double duty. You know what I'm saying? It's not just doing one thing. It does two things, which is great. And then you talk about in the next verse, never had big city eyes, hell, never been east of Dallas. Got no idea where you are now or if you ever got that penthouse palace. Talks about, no, Scotty's ain't got no vibe, no gas in his neon light, but he's got 2 for 1 till 2 tonight. Again, the 2 for 1 till 2, just an interesting language. This is just the way it rolls off the tongue and rolls across the ears. 2 for 1 till 2. And also that Scotty's, the local bar, it's believable. No gas in his neon light. It's a small detail, but it's believable. It's different. It's a fresh image. What a great way of saying this place is kind of run down. It's not, high class. It's that Scotty's ain't got no vibe. No gas in his neon light. Could have said the neon lights don't even glow or whatever, busted neon light, but just no gas in the neon light. Just a different way of saying it. So I kind of blew through that one quickly. But the big thing from that one is how much duty those lines pull on the theme. Everything's pointing at the theme, small town versus city, staying around here, drinking. It just layer upon layer in this. It's a simple lyric. It's not hard to understand, but they pull all that together in their lyric. It makes it super strong, super interesting, and they use interesting language at the same time. So those are the 3 I got for. If you want to know not just my opinion of somebody else's hit song, but a real deal legit publisher's opinion and breakdown of your song, your best song, I have another Play for Publisher event coming up, and it's coming up next month in March, but the deadline is to enter your song and submit your song is the end of this month, the end of February 2018. And so if you want to get the details on that, you just download my free ebook, giftfrombrent.com. That's gift from Brent, BRENT.com. Get you on the Songwriting Pro Insiders list. Get you the free ebook with a lot of helpful information. Also, I'll be sending you information about our Play for Publisher, how you can enter your song. But basically, it's March 19th. We'll be getting together with Courtney Allen from BMG Music. She's just a young, up-and-coming publisher. She does a great job. She's been at Starstruck. She's at BMG. She's legit. She works with people like Travis Meadows and Win Varble, just great writers, hit writers. She works with them every day. She'll be listening to your songs and giving her feedback, letting you know, her thoughts on it. And if you got the song, she knows what to do with it. So you check that out at giftfrombrent.com.
Hey guys, this brings us to the end of another Killer Climb episode. If you haven't joined the Climb community, please visit Facebook. Ask to be let in. We'll let you in, and we'll roadhouse you if you're a bad boy or a bad girl. Subscribe to this so it automatically appears in your podcast player every single Tuesday. You'll get the episode. You don't got to search for it. And this podcast exists because we want you to win. So keep on climbing.
And we'll see you at the top.